It's been a week, folks. It's definitely been a week. All right, so I wanted to do something a little bit different kind of video, different kind of setting, different kind of shot, and just have a one-on-one heart-to-heart with any creator out there that's been feeling the way that I've been feeling lately. So when I started this channel, my main goal was to film how I was feeling, no matter what, good or bad, convey my feelings to you guys, because my hope is that I can find someone out there that might be feeling the same way, looking for some inspiration. And I don't think there's any other better video to do than a one-on-one, heart-to-heart kind of talk video. So a few months back, I was talking to my buddy Clay, who is a videographer and a photographer out here in Charleston. Amazing guy, amazing creator. And we were talking about business stuff, business ideas, just stuff that creator talks about. And the one thing that kept coming up was decision fatigue and creative fatigue, mostly decision fatigue though. I was telling him how lately I feel like I've been just taking on, a bunch of small shoots, and that I'm feeling a little bit burnt out, kind of like how I was feeling back in June. With that burnout was coming a lot of overthinking with how I want to shoot my videos, the clients I want to bring on, everything that I could think of was being overthought. And you see, I remember him telling me that the best way he's been, mitigating his decision fatigue is basically just going for it. He had told me that, whether it was a shoot, he was just going to go shoot it. Whether it was a trip, he was just going to go take it. But more than anything, he really was future thinking and thinking future forward on how he wants to run his business and how he wants to shoot as a creative.
All right, so let's talk about decision fatigue. For me, I struggled with this for the longest time until I quickly realized that there's a simple couple rules that you need to follow to really nail this. One of the biggest ones is thinking forward future when you are making these decisions. So if I have, say, 3 to 4 clients that's reaching out to me at once, I'm picking the one mainly that I see that's gonna fit my future goals the best. So not the client that's paying the most necessarily every time, but the one that fulfills what my true passion is as far as a project and what my goal is for my agency and my business. Currently right now, I'm in Africa. This was a decision that I made because it truly is an amazing opportunity that I'll probably never have again. So there was really no fatigue behind it. I faced a lot of that when I just kept taking on smaller and smaller and smaller projects all the time. And I just felt burnt out a lot and I felt fatigued. But the biggest thing I've done is I've offloaded a lot of my stuff. Luckily, I have an amazing fiance that does a lot of my operations work now and does an absolutely amazing job. So that takes a lot of the decisions off of my plate. So the other thing is finding someone that's better than you at making those decisions that you can trust is one of the biggest things that I've noticed that's helped with my fatigue in the past, say, 3 to 4 months in my business.
And I'm not gonna lie, what Clay said, I feel like is something that I'm really trying to implement into my day-to-day life, especially today, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm having a week. It's one of those weeks as a creative, and today especially was one of those days where I really did not want to pick up my camera and press record. Between clients asking for stuff, as well as me just overthinking, what kind of video I want to make. Should it be a vlog? Do I just make yap content again? Do I make something that's super cinematic that, is gonna wow people and try to tug on their heartstrings? All those factors, they really did make me overthink and question whether I should shoot today because I couldn't figure it out. But I feel like what Clay said in that video that, he sent me this morning is true. And I started to think about it today of, what am I trying to shoot today and what's the future forecast that I'm going for? So let's evaluate, honestly, the month of April for me, because coming off a high in March, April has been kind of a weird, ebbs and flows kind of month for me. I started YouTube, big goal of mine, been putting that off for 5 years. As a company, I raised my prices and raised the standards of the kind of clients I want to bring in. And even though things have slowed down, I have found clients here and there that do appreciate, what I bring to the table. And that's been great. That's been awesome. I do love those kinds of people. But at the end of the day, I have been overthinking a lot. And I'm not going to lie about that. It's been something that on a daily basis, I've been overthinking, the videos I want to make, how I want to go shoot them, the clients that I am talking to. Am I supposed to, should I lower my prices again to bring in a mass amount of clients? Now, if you followed my Instagram long enough, you'll remember a video from back in October where I talked about, during the summer of 2025, I really started to lose my passion for videography and photography. See, for whatever reason, that was when I started to hit my biggest creative rut. I was questioning everything I was doing, and this passion of mine really started to become a chore and a job, which I never thought it would, because I've always dreamt of doing what I'm doing this day and age, which is being able to shoot and be a videographer and a photographer and do that for a living rather than just as a hobby. But for whatever reason, when I hit June and July of last year, the camera felt heavier and I didn't feel inspired. And, the one thing that I equated it to was that everything I was shooting, I wasn't passionate about. And see, I think that's been who I am my entire life. No matter what I did, whether I was a kid or in high school or college or as an adult now at 31, I have to feel passionate about what I'm doing to have an interest in it. See, my parents always told me that I had a great ability to flip on the switch. And we all know what the switch is. When I was in school and playing sports, especially in sports, I would have a shitty day, in school. But as soon as I walked on the football field, man, that switch flipped on and I turned it on, and the noise around me just got quiet. When I was working 9-to-5 jobs, I didn't want to be doing those jobs. I was not passionate about them. But because it was a living, because I had to support myself and my dogs, I was able to flip on that switch. As soon as I walked through the doorway of my offices, I flipped on that switch and I was ready to work and get stuff done. Fast forward now to being a full-time creator, being a full-time videographer, photographer. That switch is it's there, but it's harder for me to turn on. And it's been weird. And the one thing I could say is because this is something that I'm truly passionate about. In my heart of hearts, deep down inside me, this is what I've always wanted to do. And when I feel so strongly about something, it's hard to turn on that switch and basically be fake. And be fake for you guys, and be fake for myself, and be fake for my clients. I mean, you guys have heard me say it. I don't believe in Instagram algorithms. I don't believe in 3-second hooks. I don't believe in vertical formats, all that stuff. And with the day and age we live in, that's what's being pushed. And that's the thing that's what's driving businesses and how they're marketing. And I understand that. Trust me, more than anyone, I understand having to run a business and bringing in a revenue. But at the cost of my creative passion, there are times where I start to overthink it and I start to lose myself a little bit. And I start to wonder, am I doing this right? Should I sell out? Should I go to doing it the way that everyone else is doing? And it messes with me, and it honestly causes me not to want to pick up my camera sometimes. So at the end of the day, I would say that decision fatigue is something that has kind of littered my mind and littered my career over the last year, because every day I'm trying to figure out, do I do it my way or do I do it everyone else's way and let people dictate my career? But I go back to what my buddy Clay said in his message this morning. You gotta future think, you gotta future cast what's gonna push your career forward and what you believe in, basically. And I'm gonna be honest, when I got into this, my passion, and it's still my passion, the thing that I wanted to do with my career was bring a documentarian style to every video. And yes, I'm shooting mini docs. They're coming up in July. I had to push them off because of decision fatigue. They're coming. But it wasn't just about the mini docs. It was about every video that I did for every client. And it doesn't matter if it was construction or real estate or strength and fitness. It didn't matter. I wanted to bring a documentarian style that brought an emotion and told a story to every video that I was able to create. And the reason I wanted to do that was, one, because that's what videography was created on. It was created and based off of storytelling and showing an emotion and invoking an emotion. And two, because in my heart of hearts, I feel like a year down the road, we're going to be hearing how Instagram has switched. And we know that storytelling is going to be at the forefront of what they're looking for, authenticity. I mean, that's the word they use. They want authentic, real content. And no floof pieces, no 3-second hooks, nothing like that. So as much as I've been overthinking things lately, and I have days like today and honestly yesterday and the day before where my mind is just kind of in a jumbled mess, I've been really, really trying to hunker down and figure out and remember what my path is with this craft. What am I going to be remembered for? What is my legacy going to be? And that's something that my coaches, in sports used to tell me. What's your legacy going to be? In anything that you do. Doesn't matter if it's sports or work or being a family man. It doesn't. What's your legacy going to be? And so it hit me today. After seeing, Clay's message, it became very loud and clear to me. I'm not jumping off my path. I'm not deviating from it, because I know in my heart of hearts, this is what I want to do. And I know in my heart of hearts, this is what's right for me and my career path in the future. When I look down 10 years from now, doesn't matter, whether I succeeded or failed, I want to be able to look at my career and say, well, I succeeded or failed doing it my way. And there was no one in this planet that dictated how I should shoot, how I should post, and how I should do it. Now, I forgot when I heard this quote or who told me this quote, but a long time ago, I remembered a quote that someone has said, and the quote is, "Be bold enough to create your own path, and be brave enough to follow it." And I think anyone that's, dealing with decision fatigue and wondering what path they need to go down and what they need to do to not only be successful, but feel fulfilled with what they're doing, I think that's a quote that everyone should remember. Be brave enough to follow your own path that you've carved out for yourself. Because at the end of the day, like I said, are you going to look back on your legacy, whether it's good or bad, and say, wow, I succeeded or failed because someone else dictated the path I was supposed to be on? So today, I decided I was going to film a video. I didn't think about it. I didn't overthink about what ideas I had. I just wanted to get this out of me and talk about what's been on my mind. And rather than overthinking and, trying to figure it all out and make it cinematic and throw effects in there and all that stuff, I just set up my camera and I pressed record and started speaking. That was my decision today, because that's the path that I want to lead and go down, and hopefully inspire someone out there to do the same thing, to tell their story, to share their emotions. Because at the end of the day, we're all individuals, we're all unique, and we all have an individual story that we need to tell. So for anyone out there that's, feeling the same way that I'm feeling, remember what I just said. Be bold enough to carve out a path for yourself. Be brave enough to follow that path. Here I am, though, sitting in my office again in Clay's in Africa. I'm not gonna lie, buddy. If you see this, I'm pretty jealous. I'm not gonna lie. Also, Mountain Water, not sponsored, but give me a sponsor, man. Come on now. I need a sponsorship. I drink enough of these. Just do it. All right, guys. See you in the next video.